How much does it cost to buy a judge? That was the question hanging in the air, heavy and suffocating, inside the Providence Municipal Court. The man standing at the podium didn't just think he was above the law, he thought he owned the pavement the law was written on. He had walked in with a strut that screamed entitlement, wearing a bespoke Italian suit that cost more than the bailiff's annual salary, and he had just done the unthinkable. As Judge Frank Caprio attempted to read the charges, this man, a multimillionaire real estate developer named Marcus Sterling, reached into his jacket pocket, pulled out a checkbook, and slapped it onto the defense table. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the silent room. He didn't just interrupt the judge. He looked Frank Caprio dead in the eye, clicked a gold pen, and asked, "Let's skip the lecture, Frank. What's the number? What's the price to make you and this little traffic inconvenience disappear? I have a golf tee time in 40 minutes." The entire courtroom froze. The court clerk stopped typing. The police officer in the back row stood up. Even the air conditioning seemed to stop humming. But what Marcus Sterling didn't realize was that he hadn't just insulted a judge. He had just walked into a trap of his own making. He was used to boardrooms where money silenced dissent, but he was standing in a courtroom where character is the only currency that matters. And the response Judge Caprio was about to deliver would not only humiliate this arrogant tycoon, but would turn the entire room, and eventually the internet, against him in a way that no amount of money could fix. Before we witness the moment this millionaire's ego is shattered on live camera, I have a small request. We are working tirelessly to bring you the most powerful stories of justice and accountability from courtrooms across America. Less than 10% of you watching right now are actually subscribed to the channel. If you believe that justice should be blind to a bank account, and if you want to see arrogance get exactly what it deserves, hit that subscribe button right now. It helps us continue to expose the truth. Now, let's go back to the beginning to understand how a simple Tuesday morning turned into a battle for the soul of the justice system. It is a rainy, miserable morning in Providence, Rhode Island. The kind of day where the gray sky hangs low and the roads are slick with oil and water. At 8:45 a.m., the school zone lights on Hope Street are flashing amber. It's a densely populated neighborhood lined with triple-deckers and small businesses, and right in the center is an elementary school. Officer James Miller, a 15-year veteran of the force, is parked in an unmarked cruiser monitoring the zone. He's seen it all: distracted parents, delivery trucks rushing, teenagers texting. But what he sees next makes his stomach drop. Through the mist, a low, guttural roar approaches. It's the distinct sound of a high-performance engine. A silver McLaren 720S, a car that looks like a spaceship and moves like a missile, tears around the corner. The speed limit is 20 miles per hour while the lights are flashing. Officer Miller's radar gun screams instantly, 58 miles per hour. In a school zone, in the rain, Officer Miller doesn't hesitate. He flips the sirens and pulls out. Usually when a driver sees lights, they tap the brakes, they pull over, but the McLaren doesn't slow down immediately. It weaves around a stopped school bus, an action that is strictly illegal, and continues for another 3 blocks before finally swerving casually into a handicapped spot in front of a coffee shop. When Officer Miller approaches the vehicle, body camera rolling, the window doesn't come down. He taps on the glass. Nothing. He taps again, harder. Finally, the tinted glass slides down just 2 inches. "License and registration, please," Miller says, keeping his voice professional despite the adrenaline pumping through his veins. The voice from inside the car is dismissive, bored. "Do you have any idea how much this interior costs?" "I'm not rolling the window down in the rain so you can dampen my leather. Run the plate, it's custom, you'll figure out who I am." "Sir, I need your license and registration. Now, you were doing 58 in a school zone and you passed a stopped school bus." The door unlatches. Officer Miller steps back, hand hovering near his belt, ready for anything. But it's not a weapon that emerges. It's Marcus Sterling. He steps out into the rain, not caring about the wet pavement, holding a phone to his ear. He looks at the officer like he's a nuisance insect. "Hold on, Jerry," Sterling says into the phone. "I'm being harassed by the help." He lowers the phone and glares at Miller. "Are you new? Do you know who developed the skyline you're standing under? My taxes pay your salary, your pension, and for that cheap uniform you're wearing. Write the ticket so I can give it to my assistant to throw away." Officer Miller, to his credit, remains calm. He writes 3 citations: excessive speeding in a school zone, reckless driving, passing a school bus with indicators flashing. As he hands the slip to Sterling, the millionaire laughs. He literally laughs in the officer's face. "See you in court, officer. I hope you enjoy the show. I'm going to make you look ridiculous." Fast forward to today. The courtroom is packed. It's a mix of people from all walks of life. There's a college student contesting a parking ticket, a grandmother who didn't understand a street sweeping sign, and a young man hoping for a break on a registration fee. The atmosphere is respectful. People are nervous. They understand that this is a place of law, and then the doors swing open. Marcus Sterling enters with an entourage. He has a high-priced attorney with him, a man named Leonard Vance who looks like he's already exhausted, but Sterling waves him off. "I'll handle this, Leo. I don't need you to speak, I just need you to carry the briefcase." Sterling isn't wearing court-appropriate attire. He's wearing a suit that screams wealth, but he's left the tie at home, the top two buttons of his shirt undone, looking like he's heading to a yacht party rather than a legal proceeding. He doesn't sit in the back and wait his turn. He walks straight to the front row, pushing past a woman holding a crying baby, and takes a seat right behind the defense table, checking his gold Rolex ostentatiously every 30 seconds. When Judge Caprio enters, the bailiff shouts, "All rise." Everyone stands. Everyone, that is, except Marcus Sterling. He remains seated, scrolling on his phone, typing away with a smirk. The bailiff, a stern man who tolerates zero nonsense, steps toward him. "Sir, stand up for the judge." Sterling looks up annoyed. "I'm sending an email. He can start without my applause." A ripple of shock goes through the room. Judge Caprio, who has just taken the bench, pauses. He adjusts his glasses and looks down at the man in the front row. He doesn't shout. He doesn't bang the gavel. He just waits. The silence stretches out, becoming uncomfortable. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Finally, the pressure of 100 eyes staring at him forces Sterling to slowly, lazily stand up. "Thank you," Caprio says, his voice mild but laced with steel. "We appreciate your participation in the process." The session begins. Caprio handles a few cases first, showing his trademark compassion. He dismisses a ticket for a nurse who was working a double shift. He reduces a fine for a student who promises to stay in school. The mood in the room is warm, a testament to the humanity of this court. Then the clerk calls the case. Docket number 4492. City of Providence versus Marcus Sterling. Sterling walks to the podium. He doesn't wait to be addressed. He leans his elbows on the stand, looking relaxed, almost bored. "Good morning, Mr. Sterling," Judge Caprio begins, looking at the file. "I have here 3 citations. Speeding 58 miles per hour in a posted 20-mile-per-hour school zone, reckless driving, and passing a stopped school bus while children were disembarking. These are very serious charges." Sterling chuckles. It's a dry, condescending sound. "Serious is a relative term, Judge. Serious is a market crash. Serious is a structural failure in a high-rise. Driving a car designed for the Autobahn a little briskly on a wide road, that's not serious, that's efficiency." Judge Caprio takes off his glasses. "Efficiency, Mr. Sterling, the report says it was raining. The school zone lights were flashing. Officer Miller notes that you nearly caused a collision with the bus. There were children present. The bus was stopped," Sterling interrupts. "It was sitting there. I have places to be. I went around it. I have reflexes you wouldn't understand, and a car with braking technology worth more than this building. No one was in danger. The law," Caprio says, his voice dropping an octave, "is not designed for your specific reflexes or your specific vehicle. It is designed to protect the most vulnerable among us. In this case, children." "Okay, look," Sterling sighs, reaching into his pocket. "This is the moment that changes everything. I've watched your show, Frank. Can I call you Frank? I know how this works. You give a little speech about safety, you pretend to be a grandfather figure, and then you ask for money. That's the whole game, isn't it? The city needs revenue." He pulls out the checkbook. He slaps it on the wood. "I'm a busy man. My time is billed at $4,000 an hour. We've already wasted 15 minutes, so let's cut to the chase. What's the maximum fine? 500, 1,000. I'll write it for 5,000 right now. You can put it in the Widows and Orphans Fund or whatever you call it, and I'll walk out of here. Deal?" The courtroom is dead silent. The audacity is suffocating. Offering a bribe, or rather treating a court fine like a tip at a restaurant, is a level of disrespect rarely seen. Judge Caprio stares at the checkbook. Then he looks at Sterling. He doesn't look angry. He looks disappointed. And that is far worse. "Mr. Sterling," Caprio says softly, "you believe that this is a transaction. You believe that because you have been blessed with financial success, the rules of society are merely suggestions for you, suggestions that can be paid off if you choose to ignore them." "It is a transaction," Sterling shoots back. "Everything is a transaction. You provide a service, roadways, I pay for them, taxes, I use them how I see fit. If I break a rule, I pay a surcharge. That's capitalism, Judge. Don't try to make it moral." "Put the checkbook away," Caprio orders. "I'm trying to help you out," Sterling says, clicking his pen. "I'm trying to be generous. I said put it away." The judge's voice cracks like a whip this time. The authority in it makes Sterling flinch. He slowly slides the checkbook back into his pocket, his smirk faltering for the first time. Mr. Sterling, look around this room, Caprio gestures to the gallery. Do you see that woman in the third row? She's here because she couldn't afford to renew her registration because she had to choose between that and buying insulin for her son. Do you see the young man in the back? He took 2 buses to get here to explain that his tail light was broken because someone hit him and ran. These people respect the law, they respect the safety of their neighbors, they are worried about the consequences of their actions. And I'm not, Sterling asks. I'm here, aren't I? You are physically present, but you are morally absent, Caprio says. You drove 58 miles an hour through a school zone. Physics doesn't care about your bank account. If a child had stepped out, that child would be dead. Your expensive brakes might be good, but on wet pavement at that speed, they are not magic. You gambled with the lives of other people's children because you felt your time was more valuable than their safety. But I didn't hit anyone, Sterling argues, throwing his hands up. We are arguing about a hypothetical. Judge Caprio leans forward. We are arguing about character. Officer Miller is here today. Officer, please approach the bench. Officer Miller walks up, standing rigid and respectful. Officer, Caprio asks, can you describe the defendant's demeanor during the stop? Miller clears his throat. Yes, Your Honor. He refused to roll down his window. He told me his taxes pay my salary. He called me the help. And he laughed when I handed him the citation, saying he would make me look ridiculous in court. The audience in the courtroom gasps. A low murmur of disapproval ripples through the benches. People are shaking their heads. The court of public opinion is turning against Marcus Sterling in real time. Sterling rolls his eyes. He was being slow. I was agitated. It's hardly a crime to be rude. It is not a crime to be rude, Caprio agrees, but it provides context. It tells me that you do not view this citation as a learning moment. You view it as an annoyance, and that makes you dangerous. Judge Caprio picks up a folder. I have your driving record here, Mr. Sterling. This isn't the first time, is it? 3 speeding tickets in the last 2 years, all paid immediately, no contests, just checks written. Like I said, Sterling shrugs, I pay my way. And that is the problem, Caprio says. The fines are meant to be a deterrent. For you, they are simply a user fee, a price of admission for driving however you want. If the penalty for a crime is a fine, then that law only exists for the lower class. And in this courtroom, Mr. Sterling, we do not operate that way. Sterling looks uncomfortable now. He shifts his weight. So what? You're going to suspend my license? I have a driver. I have 3 drivers. It won't affect me. You are very convinced of your own invincibility, Caprio notes. But I'm looking at the reckless driving charge. In Rhode Island, reckless driving is not just a traffic violation. It is a criminal offense. It carries the possibility of jail time. The color drains from Marcus Sterling's face. The word jail hangs in the air. Jail. Sterling laughs, but it's a nervous, high-pitched sound. You can't be serious for a traffic ticket. My lawyer will have a writ of whatever on your desk in an hour. You can't put a man like me in jail. A man like you. Caprio asks, what is a man like you? Are you different from the man I sent to jail yesterday for driving drunk? Are you different from the man who drove recklessly and hurt someone? The only difference I see is the suit. Sterling turns to his lawyer. Leo, say something. The lawyer, Leonard Vance, stands up slowly. Your Honor, my client apologizes for his outburst. He is under a tremendous amount of stress regarding a merger. We would ask for leniency and are willing to pay the maximum statutory fines and court costs. Sit down, counselor, Caprio says gently but firmly. Your client had his chance to speak. He chose to try to buy the bench. The judge looks back at Sterling. I am not going to send you to jail today, Mr. Sterling. Not because you don't deserve a taste of humility, but because I don't think it would solve the problem. You would sit in a cell for 2 days, learn nothing, and come out angrier. I want you to actually understand what you did. Judge Caprio pauses, looking at the gallery. He spots a woman in the back row. Mrs. Henderson, could you please stand up? A woman in her 50s stands up. She looks tired, wearing a simple coat. Mr. Sterling, turn around, Caprio commands. Reluctantly, Sterling turns. That is Mrs. Henderson, Caprio explains. She is a crossing guard at the elementary school where you were speeding. She was there that morning. Mrs. Henderson, what did you see? The woman's voice shakes slightly, but she speaks clearly. I saw a silver car coming so fast I couldn't believe it. I had my stop sign up. Little Timmy Miller was about to step off the curb. I had to grab his backpack and yank him backward. The car went by so fast the wind from it knocked my hat off if I hadn't pulled him back. She stops, choking back tears. He would have been gone. The courtroom is silent, stone silent. The reality of the transaction has just been given a human face. Sterling is not looking at her, he is looking at the floor. For the first time, the arrogance is gone, replaced by something that looks like shame or at least embarrassment at being exposed. "Turn around, Mr. Sterling," Caprio says. Sterling turns back to the bench. He looks smaller now, the swagger has evaporated. "You didn't just pass a bus," Caprio says quietly. "You almost killed Timmy Miller. And while you were screaming at the officer about your leather seats, Mrs. Henderson was on the sidewalk shaking, trying to calm down a terrified child. That is the reality of your actions." Sterling clears his throat. I didn't see the guard. "Because you were doing 58 miles per hour, Caprio snaps. "You cannot see what you do not look for." The judge picks up his pen. "Here is my ruling. I am finding you guilty on all counts. The fines will be the maximum allowed by law, but that is the easy part for you. I know you can write that check." He leans forward. "In addition to the fines, I am ordering you to complete 50 hours of community service. And not just any community service. I am ordering you to report to the Department of Public Works. You are going to spend the next 4 weekends picking up trash in the very school zone where you were speeding. You are going to wear an orange vest. You are going to walk the streets you think you own, and you are going to clean them." Sterling's jaw drops. "You want me to pick up trash in public? People will see me. I have a reputation." "Exactly," Caprio smiles. "You have a reputation for arrogance. This will help you build a reputation for humility. If you miss 1 hour, if you are late, if you are rude to the supervisor, I will revoke your suspended sentence and you will serve 30 days in the adult correctional institution. Do you understand me?" Sterling looks at his lawyer. The lawyer nods, signaling, "Take the deal, you idiot." Sterling looks back at the judge. He looks at the checkbook still visible in his pocket. He realizes that for the first time in his life, money cannot save him. "I understand," Sterling mutters. "I can't hear you," Caprio says. "I understand, Your Honor," Sterling says, louder this time. "Good, and one more thing," Caprio adds. "You offered to write a check for $5,000 earlier. Since you were so eager to part with that money, I am going to suggest a voluntary donation to the Victims' Compensation Fund, which helps people who have been injured by reckless drivers. You don't have to do it. It's not part of the sentence. But it would show me that you have a heart somewhere under that suit." The entire courtroom watches. It's a test. Sterling hesitates. He takes out the checkbook again, but this time he doesn't slam it. He opens it quietly. He writes the check. He hands it to the bailiff. "Thank you," Caprio says. "We are adjourned." As Marcus Sterling walks out of the courtroom, the atmosphere is totally different. He doesn't strut. He keeps his head down. He walks past Mrs. Henderson, the crossing guard, and for a brief second he stops. He looks like he wants to say something, perhaps an apology, but the words don't come. He just nods awkwardly and hurries out the door, the silver McLaren keys feeling heavy in his pocket. The courtroom erupts into quiet conversation. The people in the gallery are smiling. They just witnessed something rare. They saw a giant brought down to earth. They saw the system work the way it was supposed to, but the story doesn't end there. 3 weeks later, a photo surfaced on local social media. It showed a man in a bright orange safety vest, holding a trash picker and a plastic bag, walking along Hope Street in the rain. It was Marcus Sterling. He wasn't on his phone, he wasn't shouting at anyone, he was working. A local news crew caught up with him on his final weekend of service. They asked him about the experience, and what Marcus Sterling said surprised everyone. He wiped sweat from his forehead and looked at the camera. "I was angry at the judge," he admitted. "I was furious. I thought he was trying to embarrass me, but walking this street. I've seen the kids, I've seen how fast the cars go by. I watched a car almost hit a dog yesterday. When you're in the car, you feel like a god. When you're on the side of the road, you realize how fragile it all is." He paused, looking at the school. "I was wrong. Judge Caprio was right. I needed this. It was a stunning transformation." The man who tried to buy a judge had ended up buying into the community instead. This story is a powerful reminder of why Judge Frank Caprio has become a global phenomenon. It's not just about the viral clips or the funny moments. It's about the fundamental belief that justice isn't about punishment, it's about correction. It's about teaching. Marcus Sterling walked in believing his worth was determined by his bank balance. He walked out learning that his worth is determined by his actions. We live in a world that often celebrates the wealthy simply for being wealthy. We excuse bad behavior from celebrities and tycoons because we are dazzled by their success. But in that Providence courtroom, the playing field was leveled. The crossing guard's testimony mattered more than the billionaire's schedule. The safety of a child mattered more than a McLaren. What do you think? Was the punishment fitting? Should the judge have sent him to jail immediately for the bribery attempt, or was the community service a better lesson? There is a moment during the hearing that the cameras barely caught, but it speaks volumes. When Sterling was writing that check for the donation, his hand was shaking, not from anger, but from the realization that he was no longer in control. That is the power of true authority. It doesn't need to shout. It just needs to hold up a mirror. If this story restored a little bit of your faith in humanity, if it made you glad that there are still places where money can't buy everything, please hit the like button. It helps get this message out to more people. And listen, we have another story coming up next week about a diplomat who tried to claim immunity after parking in a fire lane during an emergency. You won't believe how Judge Caprio handled international law. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss it. Until then, remember, the measure of a man isn't how he treats his equals or how much he tips the waiter. It's how he treats the rules when he thinks nobody is watching. And in Judge Caprio's courtroom, the world is always watching. Drive safe, respect your neighbors, and we'll see you in court.